This little movie shows how to make a template for a trailer mudguard. Our first step is to make a model of the mudguard. We only need to make a model of one section of the mudguard. To do this, find some 1mm sheet metal and cut out a size approximately 200 by 300 millimeters. Then mark out your longitudinal folds as per the dimensions on the drawing. Then approximately in the middle of the sheet, draw a centre line. Now we are going to mark out the back edge, which has the 90-degree angle. We mark out the angle with an angle gauge, but what is the angle that we actually scribe or mark the line at? This is an easy one to do, because according to the drawing, the angle or the fold is at 45 degrees. So our cutout has to be 45 degrees. That is 22.5 degrees each side of the centre line. The next cutout is much more difficult because we have what we call a compound angle. We have a 45 degree fold in one direction and a 45 degree fold in the other direction coming from the same point. This gives us what we call a compound angle. It is not simple as the previous one, and so we have to work out what the cutout will be. We could work out what this angle would be mathematically, but it is a complex formula and it is not used in a general workshop situation. What we would do in a general workshop situation is to use trial and error, and that means we make a cutout first and then try it, see if it fits. If it doesn't, we then alter it. So with this cutout we will start at an angle of 15 degrees either side of the centre line from the apex. We will also draw a line 90 degrees from the edge for the small fold over, which is the 20mm fold. Once we have completed our mark out, we simply cut along the lines with a pair of tin snips to remove the piece of metal ready for folding. Cut out both sides following your mark out. We are now ready to start folding. The first fold that we complete is on the 20mm section. This fold is folded over at an angle as far as you can possibly go with the folder. The next fold is on the 50mm length, which is folded at an angle of 45 degrees. The next fold is to fold the 90-degree angle on the 40mm length, which is the back of the mudguard. We now need to start folding up the mudguard in the other direction. The aim of this fold is to make it 45 degrees. However, in the first instance, it will not fold up to an angle of 45 degrees. We fold up the component until the edges start touching. These touching edges, will prevent the fold from going a full 45 degrees. The next step is to then cut away the touching edges so that we can fold the component up further and eventually get to our 45 degrees. We cut out the touching surfaces any way that we can. We can cut it out with an angle grinder, tin snips, or whatever. Continue to fold up the component again until the edges touch. The fold is completed when both the front and the back edges touch. This should then be 45 degrees. However, you need to check it with an angle gauge to make sure that you do have the right angle. Both edges should touch, leaving only a small gap, which is then later on welded into position. You must make sure and check that the angle is 45 degrees. This then completes one section of our mudguard. It is a model, a template of one fold of our mudguard that we are manufacturing. Our next step is to then unfold all of the folds that we have completed. Once we unfold everything and flatten it out, we will then have produced a template which we can use for our manufacture of our mudguard. Unfold first with a pair of pliers, then use the clamp on the folder to flatten out the model as much as you possibly can. We then have a finished template. When making our mudguard, we must first mark out, according to the drawing, the intersecting points where all the joins are to take place. We then use our template at each of those intersecting points and mark out the cutout, which will be the same on each point. This saves a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort in marking out each individual cutout. The process you have just seen is what would happen in a workshop. By taking time to make a model and then producing a template will save you a lot of time in the manufacture of subsequent mudguards.